All right. We are live. Welcome to the UFC 261 Tailgate Show. I'm your host, Patrick Auger. We may have one of the other guys jump in here. May just be me and you guys chilling, previewing UFC 261. So, welcome. Appreciate you joining us for the Tailgate Show. I have a Sentinel Founders IPA that I am sipping on slowly because I've had some terrible stomach issues going on. So, it's going to be a little sip. But hope you guys are out there having a good time. Hope you guys are pumped up for tonight's pay-per-view. If you're watching, let me know your excitement level of tonight's pay-per-view card. I feel like it's a little muted. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely feel like as big of a card this is, it's not quite as, big as it normally is. Oh, there's producer Jake. He is in here. I'm going to go ahead and... Jakey there? No, doesn't seem to be. All right, gonna go ahead and disconnect there. He may show up later. No, I mean, welcome. Appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, definitely let us know how you're feeling about UFC 261 because I've heard some people be pretty hyped about it. I've heard a lot of other people saying it's not that great. It's an all right card, but there's a lot of foregone assumptions, I feel like, with this card. A lot of people expect Uzman to run through Masvidal. A lot of people expect Zhang Weili as well as Valentina Shevchenko to get the wins. So it just it just becomes kind of if that's how you feel, if you think it's going to be Steamroll City all night where you know who's going to win, I can understand it being a little, not as exciting as some other pay-per-view cards, but I'm still excited. I still think we're going to get some great fights. Let me know your excitement level, and with that in mind, also let me know what you're drinking, what you're doing, all that fun stuff, while we got just, an hour and 45 minutes or so before we start the prelims here. Also, let me know if you're a prelim watcher, because I have found that many hardcore fans, there's a subset that watch the entire thing, but then there's a lot that tune in, mid-card, main card. All that type of stuff. So, Torrin Brown coming in with the first question. Did you see Colby Covington bringing up Jorge Masvidal being a horrible father to his kids? Colby has taken it way too far, bringing up Masvidal's personal life. I hope Jorge breaks that guy's jaw. I did see the clip. This is Colby Covington's gig and kind of shtick, right? He comes out. He really pushes the envelope. He crosses a lot of lines. In this case, yeah, he's talking bad about, Jorge's family. He had the whole picture with him and I believe Jorge's wife, all that stuff going on. I would love to see that fight. I think Masvidal versus Covington is a fantastic fight to make, especially if, Masvidal loses here. And then I know Dana said that Covington's going to get the next title shot. So if they end up both trying to get the belt and both losing, I think it's a great fight. Or if Jorge wins, I would honestly rather see Covington fight Jorge first, even though that's probably not fair to Uzman, who's been very dominant and looked like, just a fantastic champion. So hard to say there. But yeah, he's definitely crossing some lines, and that's what he's been doing for a while. It's not shocking that he took it that far, but you wonder if there will ever be any ramifications or repercussions for some of the stuff he's saying, because he's definitely stepped over the line a couple times, and it's hard to say what the UFC will do, if anything, because they kind of like this shtick. It kind of gives them some publicity. So and yeah, Torrid, I want Jorge to put a serious beating on Colby. It would be a fun fight. I don't know who takes that fight, though, to be honest. I mean, if Uzman is able to utilize his game plan tonight and wrestle Jorge and just kind of neutralize him that way, I think Colby would probably be able to do the same. It's hard to say. But that would be a great matchup. I would love to see that fight. And yeah, definitely some bad beef and bad blood there. You could easily build a very good fight around. So who knows if we'll get Jorge versus Covington, but not a bad call at all. And if you're just joining us again, welcome to the Tailgate Show, UFC 261. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the card here and take a look at some matchups and throw any questions you want in. It's wide open for them. We're tailgating. Let me know what you're drinking, and if anything, let me know what fights that excite you the most, especially if it's not one of the main title fights. Let me know, a prelim that's getting you hyped up. I'll walk through some prelims here that are hyping me up for this card. And we've also got that fight companion and post-fight show later today, so make sure you check in for that. We're just doing the main card this time, as well as the post-fight show. But Matt Wells and I think producer Jake will be on that one. A rare sighting for producer Jake, so you don't want to miss that. Let's see here. Let me pull up the card real quick. Looking at this particular card, I am really all about a couple of these prelim fights. I think some of them are sneaky good. We got Mark Fellows. I guess we can sue Drake since he's on vacation in Jacksonville, but where's Matty Wells and Backfist Ant? I don't know. I don't know where those boys are at. They're around. Drake is covering the event live. But I don't know where those two are. They're probably out, they have lives, so it's not super shocking, but they'll be around tonight, I'm sure. I'd be shocked if Ant doesn't end up joining the broadcast at some point. And Matt will definitely be in there for the main card fight companion. And who knows, they might show up during this. You never know. And let's see here. Another comment from Torin. I'll pretty much know how Uzman versus Jorge is going to go. With Uzman is just going to wrestle fuck him the entire fight because he doesn't want that smoke with Jorge at the feet. Yeah, I mean, right. I think Uzman's only way to lose this fight is if he decides he's going to stand with Jorge to make a point, right? And he tries to do the stand-up game. I really don't think that he's going to risk that, though, because why would he? I mean, his last game plan worked fine. Everybody's saying this is full fight camp Jorge, but remember, this was kind of short notice. It's only 5-week fight camp Jorge, so not even a full camp. I think he's just going to wrestle him all day. That's a clear path to victory. But if he gets his ego, gets in his way, starts trying to strike with Jorge, then it makes it an interesting fight, because I think Jorge's boxing is just more technical and could really, we saw Uzman get dropped by Gilbert in the last fight. Jorge's got some power too. It's going to be interesting if Uzman decides he wants to, stand and bang with Jorge for most of the fight instead of go to his wrestling. Because wrestling, I think it's an easy decision for Uzman to just kind of wrestle, go at it. But otherwise, I could definitely see it being a very competitive fight on the feet. DJ Real Talk, what's up? See, we got Let's Go. Of course, sir. Cheers to that. And Uzman will win by any means necessary. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that he wouldn't, go to wrestling. If he was even stung, right? If Jorge got him on the feet, if he wants to stand and bang with Jorge and then he gets stung a little bit, I'm imagining he's going to go straight into wrestling and, go that route. He's not one to play around. Uzman knows what's up. He does what he has to win. I can't see him being that egotistical to just being like, I'm going to stand with him no matter what. So yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. How many champions lose their title tonight? That's a great question. Let us know in the comments. DJ Real Talk saying 1. Yeah, which champion you think is going to lose the belt tonight, DJ? That's a good question. I personally think we might have a title change, and I think it might be Rose upsetting Weili. I think that's the most competitive of the three. Andrade is looking great at 125 too. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure that's going to be a more competitive fight that Shevchenko's had in a long time. But Shevchenko is still, just her style presents so many problems for Andrade. I mean, it's if you go back and you look at what Joanna did to Andrade during their title fight at 115, and then you watch what Shevchenko did to Joanna. Yes, it's different weight classes, but I mean, Valentina just outstruck Joanna, flush. I think it's going to be very hard for Andrade to land the big power shots that she's hoping to try and hurt Valentina. And, Valentina's just so good. I don't see that going. I think Rose versus Weili, though, that should be a banger. Another fight of the year? I don't know, but we'll see. DJ Real Talk saying Uzman. I'd say Uzman will lose. Don't want him to, but I don't think he will win. Interesting. I'd love to hear more comments of people. Yeah, Axe saying game bred TKO round 2. Really? That's that's very interesting. Yeah, I think Uzman, if his ego gets in his way, yes. Again, he keeps it standing. I think he can get caught. I think he's in trouble. But if he wrestles, that's always been a weakness of Masvidal, right? We've seen Damian Maia get the split decision over him. We've seen a couple other guys be able to just kind of wrestle Masvidal, and while Masvidal never gets in any trouble with being submitted or anything, he does struggle there where you can kind of cruise to a decision. So that's interesting takes. Let's see here. Torrin saying Uzman gets it done again. I'm on that train, but we'll see. DJ Real Talk saying, yeah, TKO ego is huge right now. Yeah, I mean, if Uzman's ego gets in the way, I can see it. I totally can. Let's see, Mark Fellows here. What are you drinking all day, Shay? I've got a special triple IPA. Ooh, nice, very nice. I'm drinking the Founder Sentinel IPA today. I don't have the can with me. It's downstairs. But yeah, it's a nice crisp IPA. Recommend it to anyone that wants to get in on that. Love the triple IPA for the 3 title fight card, though. Great call, Mark. Great call. Torrin saying, I don't care about this card. UFC 262 is what I'm ready for. Overall, better card. That tonight's you got Chandler or Do Bronx, and Tony versus Dariush, Nate Diaz versus Leon, Barbosa versus Burgos. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I'm a little more pumped up for that card too. It's weird, right? Maybe it's just because of the matchups on this one. Because again, it's hard for me to see Valentina losing. It's hard for me to see Uzman losing. I think Rose versus Weili will be a war, and I think that'll be like a great fight. I like Jimmy Crute versus Anthony Smith a lot. I think I think that one's for sure going to be a finish just based on their styles. Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. I've got Uriah Hall all day in that just because I think Chris Weidman's chin is gone. So it's kind of it's kind of hard for me to see Chris implementing his game plan against a dangerous, powerful Uriah Hall who has that knockout power and could easily just touch Weidman's chin and then it's in trouble. And he's lost so many fights by knockout in his past several fights. It's hard to say. But yeah, I get what you're saying here, Torrin, about UFC 262 being just a little bit more exciting. I don't know why. It's weird. It's weird. There are some good prelim fights here, but it's strange. Let's see here. Excited. Do bars air the fight? I think they do now in states that have opened up. I know in Texas, where a lot of places are open up, there are bars showing the fights. Depends on where you are. If you're in the States, if you're international, that's a big difference, obviously, because everybody's got different COVID rules. But I think there are some bars at least in my city, Austin, I know that are showing the fights. So I would assume they're around. You just got to look for them. If you go to UFCbars.com, they have a list. You can put in your zip code and they'll basically, or your location, your city, and they'll basically give you a list of any bars nearby that have confirmed that they're watching the fight. So that's what I would recommend there, Exciter. Let's see. Zhang's going to take this one. She went through a lot with her fight with Joanna, though, guys. She wasn't as prepared. True. I mean, and she's had a layoff, right, of over a year now. So, she's had some time to recover from that fight. I would say if she had that fight with Joanna and then she fought Rose like 6 months later or, 4 months later or something, that would be a little bit riskier just because that was such a war. I mean, I'm sure she took some damage there. It took a while to heal, but she is fully rested up. It'll be interesting. Rose still looked very good against Andrade. Andrade made some great adjustments late in the fight, and Rose still ended up with the decision, but, in their second meeting. But Rose is still looking very good, and I think presents a lot of tricky puzzles, right? Her style in terms of her striking is just so awkward, and her ability, she does have power, and I expect Weili's chin to hold up, but even if your chin holds up, if you get hit by a good punch that stings you, or as Andrade said, made her ears ring, like that definitely affects your game plan. You don't get hit by those punches and then you're like, cool, I'm just going to keep walking into those punches. You have to kind of adjust on the fly, and it's more of a deterrent. So even if Weili's chin holds up, if she gets hit by some of those stronger strikes, it'll be interesting to see her reaction and how she adapts. But I love that fight on the feet. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Be very good to see if they take it to the ground too, because honestly, Weili's ground game, looking back through some of her old fights, is underrated. So I think it would be a very interesting. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's the fight I'm most excited for on this card by far. Let's see here. What else we got? Torres is not a women's MMA fan. Well, I am, at least tonight. I think I am all about Zhang versus Weili. If Rose wins, what round do you call? This is tough. Honestly, I'm thinking more a decision or a fourth or fifth round. You know what? I definitely see a fourth round. If she's able to sting her, it's gonna be one of those tests where I'm sure at some point Rose is gonna land a flush hard punch, and that is going to answer the question of what is Weili's chin like, right? And if it's solid, I'm thinking it's probably going to be a decision. If it kind of stuns her or rocks her, I could see Rose capitalizing, to land a couple more of those types of punches, and maybe take it to the ground. And if Weili's ground game really isn't up to par, because again, watching her previous fights, she definitely has a ground game. It's underrated, but this is highest level competition. Rose by far would be her biggest test on the ground. So it would be interesting to see, how she deals with that. But I would say I'm going to go fourth round TKO if Rose gets it done, or a unanimous decision. But I think it's all going to be about Weili's chin. I think that's really the big thing there. Okay, what else do we got? Let's see. My wife thinks Rose is going to win. Yeah, I mean, I have Rose picked in this fight. I think after watching the Weili and Joanna fight a couple times recently, I think the awkwardness of Rose's striking is going to be a problem for Weili. And I don't know. I could easily be wrong there. Again, and it's not going to be an easy win. It's going to be close. If it goes to decision especially, I think it's going to be a close fight. I don't think it's going to be like a 49-46 or any of that stuff. But I have Rose picked simply because her style is just so weird, and she's really just continued to get better and better with some of her, feints and just head movement, that I think it's gonna pose problems that probably Weili hasn't ever seen before, right? But then again, she obviously proved her mettle against Joanna. I'm not out here to say Weili is a slouch or that it's a lock or anything of that mean. I think it's kind of a coin flip. I just lean Rose a little bit more personally based on the tape I've seen, but I wouldn't be shocked if Weili ends up with a decision win either, or maybe even a TKO, right? Weili does have, some power too, right? We've seen that with her knocking out Andrade and landing some shots that have hurt a couple of our other opponents. So it's totally possible that Weili ends up with a finish too. It's hard to say. All right, let's see. Oh, and we are now joined by Mr. Matthew Wells.
Hey everybody.
What's up?
What's happening?
Not much. Just running through the card, running through these questions.
Man.
Got a lot. Let's see. Let's see here. Zhang's coach said she will adapt to however opponent fights. She likes to defeat them with their style. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Let's see. Let's do some of those questions. Yeah, this is a good question. This is a great one to bring you in on, Matt. With a number of Asian athletes on this card, do you think the UFC intended for this event to be in China? Uzman versus Masvidal seems like an add-on when it was first announced because it's in Florida. I know there have been talks about it in China, right, or in Singapore originally, but I don't know for sure. I think they would have preferred to have it in China, especially with Weili defending her belt. I don't know, Matt, any thoughts on that for you?
It's kind of hard to say because we were well over a year into the pandemic, so it's kind of hard to say where they intended for cards to fall. But I definitely think, at least for Zhang's case, they would want to have her in China. But obviously, the way things have worked out lately, I think it was just like, hey, when can we get you back in there? And wherever it falls, unfortunately. Pandemic screws everything up.
Yeah, for sure. And if Yan Xiaonan ends up beating Claudia Gadelha, and then they end up doing and Weili beats Rose, I think that fight for sure will be in China. I think they will hold off and have that one because that's too big of a fight for China. Oh, there goes my light. Classic on time. You can still see me. Good enough. I'll fix it later. But good question, Axe. Appreciate it. Let's see. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Any truth to the rumor that Derek Lewis has accepted $29.5 million to fight Ngannou? I can't.
Christ.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with producer Jake here. Get off that IPA mark. A little too early for that. There's no way. There's no way he's getting paid that much. I mean, no, that's not happening. Let's see.
I'm gonna say a big false on that rumor.
Yeah.
Just taking a shot in the dark here.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're just joining us, welcome to our UFC 261 Tailgate Show. Throw any questions you want at us, for sure. I'm going to try and fix my light here really quickly to get that back up and running. Let us know your guys. I really want to know your excitement level, though. I know Torren's already said that, for him, this wasn't like a major... He was more excited for 262. I kind of agree with that. Matt, what's your excitement level for this pay-per-view? It seems muted, right? It seems like not as many people are, super pumped up about this one.
I don't know. I'm super excited for the main card. The main card is super stacked for me, but like the prelims are just like, this is like the weakest prelims I can think of on a pay-per-view in a long time. So maybe that's why. Like, there's not much name value on any of the prelims. Like, there's a couple of names here and there, but it's mostly guys that are like on their first and second fights in the UFC, where it's just like, okay, we'll see what you can do. Hopefully those fights produce some fireworks, though. I mean, usually the ones where it's like we're not really all that excited about usually do produce a lot of highlights, historically. But
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I can see why that's a reason a lot of people aren't super excited. Like, they're not like, oh man, I can't miss this early prelim fight. They're like, who are these people? That's it. That's what most people are saying.
It's true. I'm excited for some of the prelims. We'll dive into that in a little bit here. There are a couple of matchups I think that are going to be fireworks. But yeah, that's true. I've been like doing research and watching tape and all of that. So that, yeah, I get what you're saying. DJ Real Talk, does Uzman box with Masvidal, or does he go for the feet again? Yeah, I mean, I think foot stops are for sure gonna happen, especially after Masvidal brought him up, right? Like, that's just Uzman kind of rubbing salt in the wound. Masvidal there. I don't. You think he's gonna stand? This is a big question that before you got here we talked about. Do you think Uzman is going to stand and box? Do you think he's gonna like? A couple people are saying they've got game bred by TKO, and I think Uzman's ego might get in the way.
Listen. Usman always talks all the uber confidence in the world, but when it comes to fight night, he is all business all the time. He's not going to do anything to jeopardize his position. He may try to stand a little bit, see how it goes, try to work that jab early. But if he starts to get stung a little bit by Masvidal, he's going straight for that double leg, and he's going to put him on his back. Like, he can definitely tell when it's time to go to his wrestling, and he's smart enough to try to utilize some of those new tools. But yeah, if it's not working, he's going to go to what he knows. Because listen, the guy wants to keep that belt. He wants to be the best in the world, and you do that by winning. He doesn't have anything to prove by beating up a guy on the feet that he already beat. Like, in my opinion, let's just go out there and keep the belt again.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about we're playing footsies or whatever he said at the press conference. Like, Usman doesn't care about all that.
No, although I fully expect Uzman to get Masvidal in the clinch and stop those feet 100%. Like, that's but yeah, not, as you mentioned, he's not going to risk, do something out of the way or take a risky stance or anything like that to try and get those foot stomps or stand with him. I'm in agreement there. I think he's going to go out and get it done. Axe has a great question here. If you could select a walkout song for one of the 6 fighters in the championship bouts, what would it be? I'd have Valentina walking out to Bullet by Uncle Murder. Matt, anything off the top of your head?
Oh man, if I had a few minutes to think about this, I could have some damn good answers. Oh man.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. We'll ponder this one. Let us know. Let us know in the comments. We'll circle back to it. Let us know in the comments what songs you would select. Yeah, there's definitely some good ones out there. Let's answer Mark's question in the meantime while we're thinking about it. Where will Woodley's career path take him next? Bellator, BKFC, recording studio. Here's the thing, because I guess it hasn't been announced officially that he's been released, right? But I can't imagine if he's being removed from the rankings. I can't imagine he's going to be re-upped. And Luque was the last fight on his contract, so I think he's probably done with the UFC, especially given the relationship Woodley had with Dana White. I could see him going to BKFC or Bellator. Bellator makes a lot of sense for me, I think, because that add another legitimate name to the welterweight division that is pretty solid over there right now. But I don't know, Matt, what are your thoughts there?
Interesting. I could see him. I think he has pretty much any option in the world that he wants to do, right? I could see him wanting to be super competitive and try to go to PFL route. I could see that. I could see that. Because, listen, the way he looked in that last fight was fantastic. He just got a little bit too over-aggressive. He was like, his aggression in his past 4 fights was at a 2 on the 10, and then he came out on a 15 and broke the dial, and it cost him. So if he keeps that, dial it back down to about an 8, I could still see him having a lot of juice in the tank and want to go out there and prove that he's one of the best. And he could do that in a PFL. He can do that in a Bellator. I don't see him doing BKFC just because that's too much of a circus. I could definitely see him trying to do a one-off something with Triller in the meantime. With all that back and forth going off. But I don't think any of those Triller guys would want that smoke. I don't think they would.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine Jake Paul or anybody would want to actually throw hands with Woodley. But yeah, that's a very good. I like Triller a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense. Because he'll get paid more too, right?
It'd be fun. It'd be fun. I mean, those whole events are just fun. They're not if anybody takes those events seriously, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. So. Oh yeah. No. And hey, Muhammad, good to see you join. And of course, we've also got somebody else joining us here. That is Mr. Drake Riggs. Hey. All suited up.
What's up, boys? Talk about a tailgate. Live on the scene.
Yeah, you asking fans questions or what? That's what you're supposed to do, right? Just.
No, not quite. I'm still going to keep my distance a bit. Maybe tomorrow when I don't have to worry about getting tested and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But they are doing the fan stuff down there.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Which is good fun. I don't know if there's any fighters or anything, but yeah, I'm just waiting to get in before it fucking rains.
Are you the only one out there right now?
There's another guy here, but I don't know who it is.
Y'all are super early.
Yeah. Gotta get that spot.
Get out there.
Try to get that spot.
Right. Even though we're assigned, so I'm just here because I got nothing else to do. I'm staying very close to it, so I was like, I was gonna get food. There's a little bar spot right next to this because of the Jaguars games and everything, but I'm stupid and didn't think that it'd be packed with all the people, so I didn't even bother.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what have we been talking about, boys?
UFC 261. Shocking.
No way.
No, we were just asked. I think one of the questions that we just had to ponder a little bit before the Woodley question came in was, what walkout music would we choose for the for any of the 6 championship fighters in the bouts tonight? Got anything at the top of your head, Drake?
I mean, DMX stuff is the first thing that came to mind for obvious reasons. But, I have no idea. don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head still too. I need more time. Matt, you got anything?
I'm still thinking. I'm trying to think of something for Usman. That's what I've been trying to think. He's always got some dope music anyway.
I mean, I think a really great troll, and maybe this is too far, but I think a really great troll would be if Rose came out to the old Soviet Union theme song.
Oh my God.
I mean, that would just be. Yeah, it would be insane. If she came out to that and that just revealed it was like a joke and she was like playing with all of us, that would be hilarious / ridiculous. But I would applaud her for that because that would be an incredible joke that definitely got me. But no, I mean.
And then Weili comes out to Kiss from a Rose by Seal.
There you go.
Kiss from a Rose by Seal would be amazing. Or what's that song? The friendship song or whatever, the You and Me song. That's like about friendship.
The SpongeBob song.
Maybe. I think if Weili came out to that would be great.
Together, you is for you and me.
I think that would be perfect for Weili. Just come out and be the bigger person. That'd be amazing.
And it's for anywhere and anytime at all down here in the deep blue sea. It's some singing from me live on the scene from Jacksonville, everybody. That's what you get on the Tailgate Show at the Body Lock. Man. You're welcome.
Can't wait till we get a microphone.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mark said he's killing it. It's true, he is. Can't wait till we get you a microphone so you can go out into the crowd events and just start asking random people questions in line. You know.
I know. I honestly was gonna come earlier to see like what the fan expo type stuff was gonna be about. What I was like, because I was thinking, oh, maybe I can grab some fighters for an interview or whatever. But I was like, they probably won't be there, and if they are, they'll be in like doing the line thing where they're signing stuff. It's like I would just be such an asshole trying to do that. But man, I will tell you guys exclusively here, I had probably my biggest missed opportunity ever last night when I saw Nick Diaz all alone. Well, he had his manager and another guy with him, but like just them and like no one else around. It was me and Gabriel Gonzalez, and I was like, in hindsight, I was like, that was the moment where I should have just went up. He probably would have said no, but you never know. Like if I would have just asked 3 questions, man, just 3 quick questions. I'm like, fuck, I've been kicking myself ever since last night. Now I'm like, you never know.
It's all right, man. I once did a really great interview with Valentina and forgot to hit the record button and just didn't, you know.
That's probably worse.
Yeah, it was. It is. It was great. She talked a bunch.
Happened, yeah.
Right, and she talked a bunch about like Nunes 3, like as a potential opponent at the time, and like just missed all of it. So yeah,
brutal.
Yeah, you're fine, man. You haven't done that. That was bad.
I know.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. So yeah, if you're just joining us, if you're just joining us at UFC 261 Tailgate, welcome. We've got myself, Mr. Wells, and then Drake Riggs on the scene, waiting in the media line. If somebody walks by, maybe we'll get a media opinion. What's the general feel, Jake or Drake? Sorry, I'm messing up names all day. I know. Drake, what is the crowd reaction like at weigh-in ceremony?
So in terms of popularity, Jorge Masvidal, hands down, guy is definitely a star if you didn't think that he was before. Like, everybody loves him so much. Everybody's anti-Usman. I feel like it might be more of the matchup rather than just hating on Usman, even though people like to do that anyway. But for the most part, like, people were just pretty excited, I think, to have fights back. Like, for the very first one, Liang versus Ariane Carnelossi, which is a good fight, and I'm very excited for it. 2 talented strawweights. Can't go wrong with the strawweight division. They were pumped for them to walk out and, like, do their face-off. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I know that probably 90% of them have no idea who these fighters are, so it's great for them to give a reaction like that. And then maybe a little bit surprising was the reaction that Cowboy Oliveira got. Like, he got a pretty good pop from the crowd, which I know he's been around for a while and everything, but I feel like he's just really flown under the radar in terms of his fights getting buzz, like since whatever his last main event was. I don't even remember which one it was, but for his last couple fights, he's been kind of buried a little bit. So yeah, in terms of excitement and all that, it's definitely for the main event. People are excited for the co-main event too. There wasn't really any like booing going on aside from Usman, honestly, which still shows interest, right? That they have an opinion about it.
Yeah, definitely. And Axe with some good advice here, Drake, don't be scared, homie. Just don't be scared.
Right, I know, man. It's not even that. It was just that I just didn't think about it. I was too hungry, just focused on food.
Axe with another good question, though. How long before the UFC signs Muhammad Usman? Well, I know he's over in PFL right now, but let's say he gets through the season. Let's say he does well. Right, we've seen Felipe Lins. We've seen a couple of PFL guys after they go through the PFL, especially if they do well, either winning or getting to the semifinal or final, then go over to the UFC. Do we see Muhammad Usman getting signed at any point?
I say, obviously, if he wins over there, he's not going to the UFC. Why? Because he'd be making more money there. But if he has a good showing in a couple of fights and then doesn't ultimately win, possibly. He's a beast. He's got the connection there with Camaro. So yeah, it's possible, but it all depends on how he does.
Yeah, you would think they'd be kind of silly to just let him go if he was to run through the tournament impressively. Like, everybody wants a star heavyweight. That's just how it is. And if the PFL can finally get one in a division of theirs that's been kind of not great, right? And the people who have done well are not the most marketable, maybe some Cuddly Bears, some Jared Rochal's, as we like to always mention him whenever we can. Hey!
I'm a drink to Jared Rochal.
There we go.
My stomach is messed up, but I will still drink to Jared Rochal.
You have to. Yeah, they have Verdum now and stuff, but obviously he's not going to be around forever unless he just starts, racking it up easily. Why not stick around for as long as you can? But yeah, if Usman can, if he loses like early or at least wins a fight and then just doesn't go very far, I think it's probably more likely that he'll make the move at some point, right? Because like we pointed out, why leave if you can be a star at heavyweight for the PFL?
Well, and especially I'm curious now too, because with Lins, right, he won the tournament and then went over to the UFC, and most of their contracts are just 1 year. And from what I know, it's not with an occasional, at least from what I've heard of my sources, where you got like Rory McDonald or you got Pettis, right, bigger names, you got multi-year things, but a lot of other contracts are just like per year basis. So, I'd be curious to see if Usman wins and then you're able to, because you don't get paid that much until you get through the whole tournament. So if you're able to come back to the UFC and get like a 60-60, 80-80 start in the UFC and you want to challenge yourself, I could see it. But then again, if Usman runs through everybody at heavyweight, then there makes no sense why he would leave, because you're going to get another $1 million at the end of the next PFL season, which is more money than you're probably going to get in the UFC ever. So, that's
unfortunately.
Yeah.
If anything, let's say if he gets a win, like if he wins it, gets that mill, then has another good run the following year, and then he could parlay that into like a #1 contender fight in the UFC, like right off the bat, if he does decide to come over. Then that's decent money right out of the gate. Coming in like top fighting fight, like fringe top 15 guys, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it makes some sense. All right, we got another one. Axe, will the UFC ever purchase another promotion?
Probably.
I would say no right now. Maybe down the line.
He says ever, Pat. He says ever.
Yeah, he does say ever. I would still say...
it doesn't have to be a big one, though. That's the thing, right? It isn't just any promotion. Probably, right? Like a small one. Who knows?
I'm still gonna go no, just because I think the antitrust lawsuit was a giant wake-up call for them, and like if you purchase another promotion at any point, you're just begging for more. I think at this point they're probably done purchasing promotion because they don't need to. Also, right? Like I think if anything, what they would do is start another promotion from scratch that they own that's like a feeder league for them or something of that nature. I could see them doing that. Like taking Dana White's Contender Series and making it like its own promotion, and then having people fight for belts, and if you win, then you get a contract, all that. That makes a lot more sense than purchasing, because purchasing other promotions is partially what got them in trouble with this antitrust lawsuit that helped the judge make his decision. So I'm saying no on the promotions myself, but
fair points. Very fair points.
Let's see what else we got here. Nick Diaz hinting at a return. What opponents make sense? This would be a fun one with you guys. The immediate eye roll by Drake. Just so angry. Well, all right, let's run this hypothetical, boys. Nick Diaz is coming back. Who should he fight? What makes sense in your guys' mind?
Anderson Silva.
Oh boy,
he's gone. I mean, that
so
would make a lot of sense.
So is Nick Diaz. What do you mean?
Diaz is still under contract technically. That's the difference. Diaz is still technically under UFC contract. Drake, what do you think?
I have always said that the only fight I want to see Nick Diaz come back for is Dan Hardy. That's the one for me.
I mean, Hardy's been looking for an opponent, right?
We're going in, guys, so I'll see ya.
All right, bye, Drake.
Peace. That's funny.
Oh, that was great.
It's a good answer, Dan Hardy. Two guys.
Dan Hardy's a great answer. I mean, because Hardy's been looking for a fight, hasn't fought in a long time. Yeah, actually, you know what? I could get behind. That's one of the few fights I could get behind is Diaz versus Dan Hardy, right?
Yeah, I like that idea. Why not? Why not?
Hey, there you go.
As long as he doesn't come in and fight another top contender right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like throw Nick Diaz in a top 5 fight for some weird reason.
They're gonna make Wonder Boy. If Wonder Boy beats Gilbert, they're gonna make Wonder Boy fight Nick Diaz, aren't they?
They probably will. Because like they're not putting Nick Diaz in there against somebody that nobody really gets hyped about. That's that's just facts. They're gonna give him a name. So.
Oh, and here's Nick Diaz versus Holland. I could see that. That makes more sense as a name, like what Matt's talking about from a business perspective. Throw him in at the bottom 15. I would prefer Dan Hardy or something that makes more sense overall. But yeah, actually that makes, from what we want to do versus what they will do, that one seems much more like something they would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still don't even like that against Holland because he's still pretty much like he's a name, but he's not like the type of name I could see them putting in there against Nick Diaz. I don't know. I just don't like this topic. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
No hate at Nick Diaz. I'd rather see Nick Diaz do a Triller event. That's what I would rather see him do right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be pretty great. Diaz versus Jake Paul. Book it.
There you go. Nick Diaz would beat the fuck out of Jake Paul.
Yeah, I would think so. Back up here, Izzy is fighting Vettori. Yes, that has been confirmed by Combate. I lamented that fact, but, because I think Whitaker definitely deserves the next fight. But I also understand why Whitaker doesn't want to, turn around and fight in 5 weeks or whatever. I think it's 5 or 6 weeks to turn around and fight Izzy. But Izzy also hasn't fought since... What, Costa? Or no, Blunt. Yeah, but wait. 259? Okay, so they could have waited a little bit more, but Izzy wants to be active. It is what it is, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Izzy, I mean, listen, with all of these 3 title fights, I said this yesterday on Twitter, with all of these 3 title fight cards that the UFC's been putting on lately, we're going to see some champions return sooner than they would like, fighting guys that they may not make the most sense. So, like, obviously Whitaker is the next person in line, right? But since they need a title fight to put on another pay-per-view, Vettori's ready, Izzy's ready, Whitaker would need more time. So we're going to go ahead and slide in Vettori, even though it doesn't make the most sense ranking-wise. So I could see that happening with this card, too. Whichever champion wins on this card that doesn't get touched, or whatever challenger wins the belt and is ready to go, expect them to return within 2 months. Somebody's going to return within 2 months off of this card. That's my not really hot take, bold prediction.
Yeah, I could easily see, if I had to pick somebody, I'd say probably Valentina, right, just outpoints Andrade for a 50-45 or something of that nature, is just untouched. I could easily see her returning in 2 months. That would be my guess out of all of the champions on the card. Because I again, as I was saying before you got here, I expect Rose versus Weili to be a war. And Uzman versus Masvidal, Uzman could do it, but I also think Uzman could end up getting some damage in that fight, even though I expect him to win it. So, for me, Shevchenko, if she's just on the outside, just, doing what she does and pointing a decision 50-45, I think she could come around and return pretty quick. So that would be my particular guess.
For sure. Again, all contingent on if one of the champions escapes with no damage whatsoever.
Yeah.
But, all of these fights really have the potential to be like wars, like in my opinion. Like at least, not necessarily wars, but at least decisions. And if any of these go 25 minutes, they'll be on the shelf for a little bit. So I think the main event has a strong possibility to go 25 minutes, just because Masvidal doesn't get finished in fights.
Yep.
And people are going to hold that against Usman. I just know how crazy some of these fans are. And be like, oh, his second fight, he's supposed to be the greatest, couldn't finish him, blah, blah, blah. Whatever stupid stuff they're going to come up with. All while ignoring that Masvidal is one of the most durable guys in UFC history. He just does not get finished.
Yeah. No, unless his chin cracks, and this is the fight where his chin cracks, I think he's for sure going to get decisioned. I can't imagine it being a stoppage, at least on Masvidal's end. Let's see, what else we got here? We got taking Andrade as an underdog. Call me crazy. I don't think that's necessarily crazy, but again, after watching Joanna versus Andrade again, and then watching Valentina versus Joanna, the biggest thing I noticed was, yes, Valentina was bigger than Joanna for sure, but really Valentina just outpointed Joanna. Like, it was all pretty much like range strikes and just, in and out, like the classic Valentina win. I think that Valentina is going to keep Andrade too far on the outside and keep hitting her at range too much, that Andrade is going to get frustrated, and it's going to be like Joanna versus Andrade again, where she just gets pieced up and Andrade can't get in there and do what she needs to do. But we'll see. I don't know. Matt, do you see that going any differently than what I'm thinking?
It's a good bet if you're talking just strictly like betting wise. This is the best opponent Valentina's faced since Joanna, and that's 5 fights ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Andrade being a former champ has a lot of possibilities to go out there with the right game plan and make things interesting. But largely, I think Valentina's going to retain her title. I don't see her losing this fight, but just on paper, Andrade is the best opponent that Valentina's fought in almost 3 years. So it is what it is. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, my light just doesn't want to cooperate today, so that's good.
Is it plugged in? Are you on battery power? What's going on over there?
It's plugged in, but it's plugged into my laptop and my other laptop, and my laptop keeps shutting down, and it just keeps causing issues. Okay. So it's fine. It's whatever.
I got you.
Let's look through some of these. Nick Diaz versus Darren Till. I don't like that fight at all. I think Darren Till. First of all, I don't think Darren Till should ever go back to 170. If Nick Diaz came up to 185, I think Darren Till just waxes the floor with him. Here's one for you, Matt. Nick Diaz versus Mike Perry is fun too. I know you're excited about that matchup, Matt. I actually would kind of love that fight. I'm not gonna lie. I think that would be a great fight for Diaz to come back to. It would be, again, not a contender, not anybody that's gonna, he's not gonna come in and immediately be ranked. I do actually kind of like that fight. Matt, what's your thought?
I have one thought about that, and here it is.
Congratulations, Angelo. You got Matt to leave the stream voluntarily. Impressive. Impressive. I tried to bring him back. Amazing. Yep. That's makes sense. Makes sense you would react that way. Torin with Uzman said he's going to retire soon. He did kind of hint at that. I don't know if he's going to retire, but he did mention a crossover fight. I think that's more in terms of, I think people are starting to realize, especially with what Ben Askren just did with Jake Paul, why would you not want to go over and do a Triller fight, right? Like, look at how happy Ben Askren was after the end of that fight. Everyone was saying, we did a video on it because people were saying this fight was fixed, and we cleared that up. You can check out that video on our channel if you have any questions on that. But Askren was happy as hell walking backstage after the knockout, and I think that's partially because he just took it as a fun thing to do, but he also got paid more than his UFC purse, at least his last known UFC purse. So yeah, if I'm Uzman and I'm dominating guys in the cage, in the octagon, and going through these camps and I'm only getting paid so much, why wouldn't I look at retiring and then doing something where I could make more money and it would be more of a challenge?
Yeah. I mean, he actually kind of teased that in the last fight too. He said a few quotes out like that about, how long his body's going to hold up and things like that. I think he's actually said it the past couple of fights. So he's been dropping those kind of sprinkles out there in certain interviews where he'll say those kind of things that kind of hint at retiring. I don't know if it's just a negotiation tactic or what, but he does have terrible knees. Like, that's not been a secret. If you watch any of his, I know it comes up on Embedded, it comes up on other interviews and stuff, Anatomy of the Fighter, all those videos he does with Anatomy of the Fighter, like the knee issue comes up quite often. And that's a serious thing that he's been dealing with. So as long as his body holds up, like that's what I said in our preview video, right? Or in our prediction video.
Yeah.
Like I was like, he's going to roll this division as long as his body allows him to. So that's the thing. I think if he does retire, it's not going to be just because he's done like competing, like he's tired of the spotlight and anything like that. I think his body will break down on him.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I want to see Wonderboy versus Uzman so bad, because I know Wonderboy will throw leg kicks and things that could present maybe an issue for Uzman with his knees. Not that he should go for the knees because they're bad and play dirty. Wonderboy is not going to do that, but at the same time, it's a more interesting matchup because that's the only person I see right now challenging Uzman in any kind of way. And I still would favor Uzman in that fight, but I think it would be an interesting matchup. So I don't know. We'll see if that ever happens, but it would be
a fantastic question in there. A fantastic question that we could actually probably make a whole separate video on. Is it dirty? Is it dirty to go after someone's, weakness? Is it? Because if a fight plays out where a guy is seemingly normal, right? Like, you don't know that this guy has a knee injury or whatever, or if he's got issues with his legs. But if you start tearing him up with leg kicks, you're going to keep hitting him with leg kicks and making that guy fall over. So how's it different if you know the guy has knee issues coming in?
That's true. It's a very good point. And yeah, maybe we do a video on that. Let us know your thoughts on that, because I would be curious to hear what you guys think. If you know somebody's coming in with an injury and then you just target it the whole time, is it dirty? Is it clean? Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Let's see some of these other questions. Like this one. Will the super fight between Valentina and Jang ever happen, and when? Who do you guys favor? I think if Weili gets past Rose here and then Yan Xiaonan wins, they're going to do that fight. I think that's too big for China. It's too big of a business move. Makes all the sense in the world to do that. If Yan loses and Weili wins, I could see them having Weili fight Valentina. And if that happened, I would favor Valentina heavily myself. I think she's just got the better striking all around, right? Like, Valentina is kind of an enigma in the sense where her only two losses in the UFC were to Nunes. And the second one was debatable. I had Valentina winning that fight, but the judges called it for Nunes, and it was close enough. I'm not going to stay and be like, whoa. But I had Valentina winning that fight. But the most interesting thing about it to me was, and I rewatched that fight a couple weeks ago, is she neutralized Nunes with her just range. Like, that's what she does with everybody, right? That's why so many Valentina fights are called boring most of the time, is because she sticks to the range, and she's so good at just pot-shotting you outside of your range that it causes problems for even somebody like Amanda Nunes. Which, who else has been able to do that to Nunes since? No one. Nunes has steamrolled everybody. Like, she's just so good at it. And I think when you look at Weili versus Valentina, I think it goes very similar to how Joanna versus Valentina went, where Weili's good and has incredible striking, but still Valentina's going to have range, and Valentina's going to just utilize that in such a way that I can't imagine it's not a 49-46 or 50-45 affair where Valentina just sticks to the outside, throwing those kicks, throwing, range shots and getting in and out so fast that it just frustrates Weili. I don't know, Matt. Do you think that super fight would go any different?
I think it would be interesting because Weili's the type of fighter that would try to just blitz through. Valentina's one of my favorite things about Valentina, like in her Muay Thai style, is the way she will just stay within her. She will mark the line in the sand, so to speak, and she will say, you step into this space and I'm buzzsawing you with like a combination, right? She will just stand within this space right here, and then if you step over that line, blah, 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 and then just making her opponent back up and be like, oh shit. And then she will stay there. Like, she may take a couple steps forward, but she will still stay right there and wait for you to do something else. And Weili's the type of fighter that would see that and would still try to blitz through it anyways and see what happens. So I think it could create a lot of interesting moments. And you know what? Depending on how tonight goes, I could see that being the next fight for both of them. Depending on how tonight goes.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to come down to, again, Yan Xiaonan versus Claudia, because if Yan wins, I think, or no, Yan already beat Claudia. Yan's fighting Esparza. Sorry. If Yan beats Esparza, then they'll want to put Weili and Yan on ice until they can have that, and because that would be a huge card in the Chinese market. So, but yeah, otherwise, I'm with you. I think that makes sense for both of them in a lot of ways. I still want to see Valentina Nunes 3, but I'd be fine with Weili versus Valentina. That'd at least be, a new step up. And also, just quickly on this one before we get to other questions, Valentina versus Rose. Let's say Rose wins, moves up, fights Valentina. I think that's a little bit more of a challenge for Valentina just because of Rose's awkwardness and the fact that she would try and take Valentina down, which is, part of a game plan we've seen not work ever by, Pena was able to take Valentina down. I believe Nunes did at one point in their first fight. But that would be a little bit more interesting to me, but I still, for the most part, see it going the same way where Valentina outpoints her.
Yeah, I think I would favor Valentina more in that fight. Like, I think the line would be closer in a Zhang fight, and I think the gap would be wider in the Rose fight, just because the size difference would be so much bigger.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. All right, let's see. Mark, Pat, are you still picking Anthony Smith to beat Jimmy Crute? Care to make it interesting? I am still picking Anthony Smith to beat Jimmy Crute, but I am not going to make it interesting because my stomach is still messed up. And I actually, funny story, Mark, I had to talk to my gastroenterologist. They're like, did you eat anything or do anything weird? I was like, well, I did do a shoey, not that long ago where I drank beer from a shoe. And they're like, well, we already checked for fungus, so you're fine. You're all good. But if I had gotten sick because of that, that would have been hilarious / I would have sworn off shoeys. But no, I will not be. I'm sorry, we're not doing a shoey bet again because my stomach is still so messed up. But I am picking Anthony Smith. Matt, who do you have in that particular fight?
Jimmy Crute, easily.
Easily? Really?
Easily.
Okay.
Not necessarily how it plays out, but in terms of picking the winner, it was an easy decision to say Jimmy Crute for me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. I didn't even think about it when I saw this fight. Like, Jimmy Crute's winning this fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think Smith's going to submit him. I think Smith is going to tie him up. Smith has lost.
Crute has submissions. He has submission game. Don't forget.
He does, but I think Smith's ground game is much better. Personally.
Okay. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, listen, I like Anthony Smith as a person, as a fighter. Of course, I love the camp over there, Factory X. Love their coaching staff. I just think Jimmy Crute's a better fighter right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could. This is either going to be. I will say, like, I can see Crute winning. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout by Smith, but I think this is going to be a make or break moment for him. Just because, like, again, the fact he got caught in that Peruvian necktie against Joko, I think it was, after like hurting Joko, like that to me showed some lack of awareness where Smith will capitalize on. Like, I think Smith is just the more experienced, savvy fighter, and if Crute has shored up those issues, then I can see him winning this and it being not domination, but I can see him easily winning this. But I think Smith is. A lot of people have written Smith off because of his losses to Teixeira and Rakish. I can't pronounce shit. Whatever it is. But I mean, to me, I still think, I still think he's got some good, especially after what he did with Devin Clark, right? I think he can get this to the ground. If he gets to the ground, I think it favors Smith heavily. But that's just me.
That Peruvian necktie was Serkinov, by the way.
Serkinov, that's what it was, not Joko. But yeah, that's the only reason I'm going Smith here. I think it's just a little bit savvy. I think Crute is definitely going to be a force in the division, but right now I still got Smith. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We've got random events. Dana came out and said John has asked for $30 million. John denied it. You think this is kind of limited how much money John can ask for in the future? If he wasn't asking for 30, he can't now. And was it a negotiation tactic? Yeah, I mean, I think Dana is known for doing this, where he comes out and, says that somebody was turning down a particular fight or wanted this much money, and then the person comes out and is like, I never said that. And it's just kind of a way Dana is able to sweep that under the rug for another fight that they want to do. But I'm sure John Jones was asking for more money, right? We've seen the whole saga play out, and $30 million. If you look back again through 2017, we know that including pay-per-view points and discretionary bonuses, the most any fighter was ever paid through 2017 was $8 million. And so I can't imagine they're looking to, up that to some, 3 or 4 times what they had in 2017. I'm sure they've paid more for, I'm sure Conor and Habib, that did more money than $8 million, and they got paid a little bit more, but you're not looking at fighters making 20, 30 million here regularly. Most of the time they're making below $10 million. And I could see John asking for 15 or 20. I think on the Deontay Wilder tweet, he was like, I'd be happy with half of Wilder's purse when they were looking at Wilder versus Joshua. And that was 30 million. So it would have been 15. Like, I don't think he's asking for anywhere near that much money.
Yeah. No, and listen, if he asked for 30, I don't think he did. Like he said on Twitter, like, who is somebody negotiating for me or whatever the tweet actually read. I don't think he's asking for that much, but I definitely think he's asking for his fair share of the pie, man. Because listen, it's not a secret that the guy's been complaining about money for a long time, for a very long time. But Dana and the UFC, they're gonna keep trying to kick the can down the road and say you'll get it at some point, and then the issue is just always there, and they're just never going to try to fix it. I don't know. It sucks because John Jones is one of the best ever, if not the best ever, and this guy's complaining about getting paid properly. It's so silly. Silly. It's
pretty insane. We got some answers to our, is it dirty or not? So we got DJ's Real Talk. Yes, that's dirty. You're not beating them at their best. Angelo saying, I would do it. And Axe saying, fair play to target the weakness on a fighter. So there you go. Got some differing opinions on that. So interesting. Maybe we do have to do a video on that.
We do. We have to do it. Put it on the board.
All right. It'll be
Get
on
everybody's
the board
opinion on it. Square it up.
We got Nick chiming in. If Uzman gets win by KO, TKO, will he finally have star power and fan support? Maybe, but it's hard to say. If he does it, I think it comes down to the way he would get the win, right? If it's an awesome KO or TKO, and then his post-fight speech. I think that's really where... I think that's the combination to getting a bunch of star power, is you have a very impressive, dominating performance, and then in your post-fight speech, you do a great job of capturing the fans' either admiration or hate or what have you. That's really what it comes down to. So I think it's definitely possible if he gets the KO TKO win. But if he goes on, post fight speech and he's kind of just, respectful or not, which is messed up to say, right? If he's respectful, he's probably not going to get a bunch of fans for it. But that's kind of what it is. I don't know, Matt. What do you think?
He's going to get on the mic and say the most cockiest shit ever, and people are going to hate it, and I'm going to love it. He's going to say something to the effect of, full camp, no camp, I'm the best. Put some respect on my name. Something like that. Some of y'all are going to hate it, and I'm going to be sitting there like, fuck yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's going to be me. But some people are always just going to hate Kamaru because he's an uber confident guy, and they just don't like his personality for whatever reason. No, he's a fantastic dude in and outside of the cage. So it's weird to me that people hate him, but I could think of some reasons, but we won't go into that right now. But yeah, he's a fantastic dude, man. I hope he does go out there and gets a spectacular highlight reel knockout. So we'll see how it plays out. But like I said a second ago, Masvidal is the most durable guy ever. So maybe it could. If you knock out the super uber durable guy and do it like in the first or second round, especially if the main card has nothing but decisions ahead of it, that could also help. But, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think it changes all that much, though.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's going to, realistically, I don't think it's going to change all that much unless he just cuts an amazing promo. But even then, it's hard to say. People are weird. They like weird things. It is what it is. Let's see here. Angelo, it's not too late. Pick crew. It's not, but I'm sticking with Smith. So I'm telling you, we'll see. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I'm going Smith. Let's see here. Looking through these. Like this one. Biggest threat to Uzman. So I've already kind of tipped my hand here. I think the biggest threat to Uzman is Wonder Boy. I think his striking is so awkward. We saw, him fight Woodley and get a draw and then a majority win for Woodley that I kind of thought was actually maybe either another draw or a Wonder Boy win. But he's dangerous and he's good, and his striking is so awkward. I think that's a puzzle for Uzman that potentially has the most problems. So I'm going to go Wonder Boy. Matt, what about you?
Knee surgery?
There you go. Knee surgery is by far the biggest threat. A botched knee surgery.
Yes, that is the answer.
There you go.
Okay. Or a more realistic answer, but it's not realistic because it's a fight that will never happen just because they're too good of friends, is if he moves up and challenges Izzy. Yeah. But that's never going to happen. Yeah,
they're too good of friends. It's a shame because that fight I think would be incredible. But I understand the thought behind that. So I don't see him moving up and doing that. And with Khabib retired, right? I think that would have been an interesting fight, especially with some of the things Gaethje said recently. If Khabib had stuck around and then tried to go up to 170, that would have been a very fun fight. But it's for me, it's Wonder Boy, and I think it's just that's the biggest threat. But I'd still lean Uzman heavily to win that fight, right? I'm not just because Wonder Boy is the biggest threat doesn't mean that he's got a real good shot at winning. It's like, well, to me, that's the biggest, potential problems for Uzman, but I still think Uzman probably gets it done. So, let's see through here. Ace NYC baby D'Angelo. I'm going Rose. I think Rose is gonna pull it off myself. Matt, what do you think in terms of that? Going Weili.
Weili Zhang, baby. Better red.
We'll see.
Yes, we're not going to do that right now.
Yeah, we're not going to do that right now. But it should be a good fight either way, that's for sure. I'm expecting that to be a banger.
For sure.
Let's see here. Tunbosun Ayunga, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, agrees with you, Matt, that Uzman, biggest threat to Uzman was Uzman himself. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, like I said, Usman and his body, body breaking down on him.
Ooh, I like this. Whitaker is a nightmare matchup for Uzman. That would be a really good fight. I would like that fight a lot. yeah, if let's say Whitaker rematches Izzy and grabs the belt back, and then Uzman wants to move up, that would be a very interesting fight. Because yeah, Whitaker's defensive wrestling is on point, and that would be even if he didn't have the belt, I'd love to see that match.
Yeah, that'd be
personally.
great. That would be a great fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's see here. Karen Renner, biggest threat to Uzman is Jake Paul. There you go. Just nah. Just can't agree with that one, but that's all right. Yeah, sliced up my name, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm really bad. You could ask Matt. I'm very bad at pronouncing things, so it's not the best. All right, let's see here. I know we're going to be winding down here soon. Before we do, if you've got any other questions, get them in. We'll get to them. Before we do that, any fights, Matt, that you're looking forward to? I know you said you didn't like the prelims much, but any under-the-radar fights or fights you think are pretty good matchups that you are expecting to see, fireworks or a good fight outside of the 3 championship ones?
Well, the one right before the championship fights start. My Fortis guy, Uriah Hall, in there against former champ Chris Weidman. This could be a really, really boring fight or a really, really spectacular knockout, and I'm hoping it's the latter. So hopefully Uriah Hall goes out there and continues to show his improvements that he's shown since being at Fortis. I mean, 3-fight win streak, 2 finishes, 1 decision, in a fight that I thought he won pretty clearly, I think. But yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But really, I mean, like I said a second ago, man, like I'm not all that excited about these undercard fights, man, except for Randy Brown versus Cowboy Oliveira, which is the very last prelim. But yeah, other than that, it's just like I'm gonna be watching a lot of these early prelim fights, wondering, how they play out, because I don't know a lot about a lot of these fighters, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
some of these people I've never seen compete, even. I mean, full transparency.
No, that's fair. And let me just reset the light one more time, because of course.
There we go.
Yeah. I like Hall versus Weidman a lot. I think that's a Hall KO all day, just because Weidman's chin is gone, and his last win is against Omari Akhmedov, who is a pure wrestler, right? And who really gassed. Like if he hadn't gassed, he won that first round. If he hadn't gassed, I think he probably would have ended up, winning that fight. So I expect, especially with the improvements Hall's made, I'm with you there. I think he ends up getting the knockout. In terms of the undercard fights, there are a couple I'm really excited for, but that's because I've been watching tape and all of that stuff. I really, really like Pat Sabatini versus Tristan Connolly. Connolly's moving down from, his last fight was against Michel Pereira at welterweight, and he's moving down to 145. Sabatini, if you haven't seen any of his fights in CFFC, he is a, everywhere threat, and I have yet to see, off the top of my head, I can't think of a very boring Sabatini fight. This could be it, of course, because Connolly's going to be, coming down so much, but I think that's going to end up being quite the banger and could end up being really fun on the ground. They've both got good scrambles. They've both got good wrestling. I could see a lot of exciting wrestling and grappling in that one. So I like that fight a lot. I like Oliveira versus Randy Brown, of course, is the star of the prelims.
For sure.
Bar none. I really like, I'm going to butcher this name again, Aori Kilang versus Jeffrey Molina. 2 flyweights that both just love to throw. I think that's going to be super exciting. Other than that, you've got a couple fights here, but yeah, I mean, those are my standouts where I expect those to be really exciting fights. Not as good of prelims as, we've seen before on some pay-per-views, but yeah. I still, I expect Brendan Allen to run through Carl Roberson, all that, Dwight Grant to get the knockout, that type of stuff. Main card, I think Jimmy Crute versus Anthony Smith is going to be more competitive or more exciting than people think, but it's just
yeah. No, I had to do a radio spot actually at like 2 o'clock this morning, and I was forced to pick an undercard fight, and I did say Connolly and Sabatini. But I also remember Molina competing on Contender Series. But like I said, I don't know how these fights are going to play out whatsoever. Like I don't have a strong feeling, so I'm just going to be watching and enjoying. Hopefully we don't sit through a gang of decisions early.
Yeah,
So,
that's
hopefully
right.
we get some finishes.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Taking these last questions here. Here's a good one. Who does the winner of Weidman versus Hall fight? That's an interesting question.
Well, yeah, let me pull up the rankings real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's, I don't know, it feels like it's one of these fights, man, where I don't know what they're trying to do with either guy at this point. Because obviously Chris Weidman has lost so many, former champ. They still like to put him, and I'm sure he still likes to be put in big name fights.
And here, actually, I'll do one better. I'll throw the rankings up on the stream.
There you go. There you go.
So let's see. We're looking at middleweight here. So these are the rankings. So we're looking at number 9, fight number 11. Sean Strickland, Brad Tavares, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I feel like this is a fight for... Honestly, I feel like it's setting up Paul, right? He's won several in a row. He's beating a former champ will justify them throwing him a top 5 guy for sure. I think this is kind of a like test for Hall, and it's also kind of in a different way, a test for Weidman to see, if Weidman gets knocked out here or loses badly, you got to wonder if it's kind of like the UFC is going to relegate him to fighting, new up-and-comers outside of the top 15 and being a gatekeeper. We've seen them do that with other fighters in the past, right? That's what they've tried to do with Yoel Romero and Anthony Pettis. And both guys said no to that and left. But I think that's kind of the theory behind this. But, I'm thinking, looking at these rankings, I think the winner maybe... I like Darren Till as a fight for either of them. Or Hermanson, maybe? Well, no, Hermanson's booked against Shabazian, right? So, yeah, I like Darren Till. I like Darren Till for a fight for either of them myself.
If Paul wins, I could see them doing a Costa rematch. I could see that. Is Cannonier booked?
Ooh, Cannonier is not booked. That would be a good one.
Yeah, that would be a good fight for whoever, actually. Either one. Yeah, it's so weird. The middleweight division is so hard to figure out, man. It really is. Because there's a lot of guys that deserve big fights, and then some that really don't.
Right.
Yeah, I think Cannonier would probably be the best option, though, for either one. Because he hasn't fought since the Whitaker loss.
Yeah. No, we got some fan comments here. Costa or Till, and then Angelo with maybe the winner of Jack versus Edmond. I wouldn't be mad at the winner of Jack versus Edmond. I think that could be a solid fight, too. But Cannonier... I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. Gives Cannonier a bounce back opponent to see if he, can make another run up to the title. Versus just because otherwise I'm not sure who you match up Cannonier with unless you do Cannonier Till, which I could see that.
Yeah, could see that happen.
So, yeah, Brunson's in there too. It's definitely a weird division. So, good call with Cannonier there, though. I like that pick. All right, so let's take that guy out and then go back to this. And then last question we have before we wrap this up is the welterweight division more exciting if Masvidal wins? Like this question a lot. I'm going to say yes. I think it is more exciting just because I think Masvidal versus a lot of the top 10 in welterweight, it would be harder to just pick Masvidal as the winner and kind of a blanket, safe pick in those matchups, right? Uzman, right now, as we've mentioned, pretty much favor him against any welterweight. Doesn't matter who, I'm going to pick Uzman as being the favorite. With Masvidal, Wonderboy, I think, beats him again soundly, like he did at UFC 217. I'd love to see... a rematch with, I was going to say Till, but Till's moved up, so never mind. But I'd love to see him fight Leon Edwards. I think that's a fight we're all dying to see. I don't know. Matt, what do you think in terms of, does it get more exciting if Masvidal ends up as the champ?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because we'd have to have a third Usman fight immediately. I don't want to sit through that again. So if the immediate rematch would not be in play whatsoever, then potentially, yes. Because Masvidal is going to be the guy. He's going to be doing all the radio spots. He's going to be all over ESPN. He's going to be super, like, all over the place, right? You turn on your TV, Masvidal is going to be there talking some mad shit. And everybody's going to be embracing it like the cult fans that they are. You know, essentially Nate Diaz fans, and Masvidal fans. The Venn diagram, like complete circle, right? So it would be more exciting from that standpoint. But I like what you said about not being favored in any of these fights. Essentially, the belt would be like, we'd be looking like a hot potato situation, right? Like the welterweight or light heavyweight division was before John Jones showed up. So it could be interesting from that standpoint, sure. But yeah, in the immediacy, no, because we'd have an immediate rematch from Uzman. And I'm just not ready to see that happen. Just not. Let's move on. Let's do Kamaru versus Wonderboy next, please. Fresh matchup. Get it out of here. And listen, the Camaro and Colby Covington fight would still be very interesting, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that rematch. If Wonderboy gets past Burns, then yeah, I'd love to see Wonderboy versus Uzman. But yeah, that's a very good point. Because even if they didn't do the immediate rematch, you'd imagine it wouldn't take long for Uzman to get back to a rematch. So yeah, I think it would be more exciting for a little bit if the immediate rematch was out of play. But otherwise, yeah I agree with that. All right, guys. Appreciate you tuning in for the UFC 261 tailgate. Love interacting with you guys. Great questions. Incredible questions. We didn't have to go too much and break down a lot of fights. You guys just kept them coming, so love that. Appreciate it. I'm All Day Auger. That's Mr. Matthew Wells. Appreciate you guys, and stay tuned later for the main card fight companion where Mr. Wells and producer Jake will be making an on-screen appearance. Yes, a rarity, so you don't want to miss that. But love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.